Americans rely on Social Security and Medicare, and both systems work well until they don't. If there's ever a hiccup with either one of them, things can get really stressful really fast. Let me give you a quick example of that. I'm at our annual family gathering, and some relatives approach me. And these are the relatives that everybody knows have their act together. They dot all their I's, they cross all their T's, they're well off. And they approach me and say, hey, we know you're a financial advisor. We've just retired. Would you mind taking a look at our finances? Now, they must have seen my eyes light up because they said, whoa, 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 not the investments. Those are all tied up. We have a good advisor. We just want you to make sure that we have all of our affairs in order. And I said, well, I'm an investment advisor, so typically I help people with their investments, but your family. I've got friends in the industry, Social Security experts, legal experts, accounting experts. I've got all these people I can tap into to do some research for. So yes, I'll help make sure you have all your family's affairs in order. And that's what I did. I tapped into my expert friends, they did some research, and actually found that there were 7 things that they had not done, or if they'd done them, they'd done them wrong. And if we hadn't taken care of these things, it would have been in a situation where it would have cost them a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of hassle, and we took care of those things virtually at no cost. And I was pretty proud of myself because they were so grateful for what I'd done for them. And I went to my wife and my chest was puffed out and I thought she was going to pat me on the back for helping our relatives. But instead she had a question for me and she asked, well, that's great, but have we done these things for ourselves? And I thought, holy cow, my well-to-do relatives that are known for having their act together didn't have these 7 things done or done right. I've been in the industry for years, for decades, and no, I hadn't done these things for my own family or done them right. And I started wondering, I wonder how many of my clients had done these things or done them right. So I started to talk or walk through these documents, these 7 documents with my clients. And I found out, guess how many of them had done these 7 things or done them right? 0. So I took care of it for my clients and I started to talk to my colleagues, other financial advisors across the country, and said, hey, there are things that your clients are missing. And they'd say, are you kidding me? They've got me as an advisor. I got these things covered. I got them handled. They have good attorneys. They have good accountants. There's no way they could be missing 7 things, at least not significant things. And do you know, not only did my clients not do these things, but all my clients, 100% of my colleagues across the country validated that no, their clients had not done these 7 things either. But before they would get to that point, and maybe you're at this point right now, you're asking, well, like what? What kinds of things are you talking about? What are those 7 things? Well, let me give you just one example. Did you know that Social Security kills thousands of people a year? Now, they don't actually kill them, but they kill them on paper. Somebody makes a mistake and they transpose a digit on a Social Security number or a birthday, or they get an address wrong or a spelling wrong, and you're still among the living, but as far as Social Security is concerned, you're dead. And this has been validated with many different magazine articles out there across the country when this happens. All of these reporting about people dying. In fact, New England Journal of Medicine says that this happens to thousands of people a year. And you might be thinking, okay, but does that really matter? How would that even affect me? Well, let's just walk through an example of what happened to a gentleman. He was a retired professor and he was going to go bowling with his friends on a Saturday afternoon. And he went to the ATM machine and he put his code in, and the ATM machine told him his account was closed. Now, what happened? What do you think happened to him? Well, Social Security had killed him accidentally. They killed him on paper, even though he was among the living. Now, and of course, they did not notify him because they thought he was dead. So when Social Security contacted his bank and said, listen, we're sending this guy's account $2,500 a month. He's been dead for 2 months, or Social Security thought. So they said to the bank, you need to send those 2 payments back of $2,500, or you need to send the $5,000 back to Social Security. And when Social Security tells the bank to send the money back, guess what the bank does? They send it back. And then the bank is thinking, well, if he's dead, we better do what to his account? We better freeze his account until we hear from the courts and what they should do with this account. So there's no fraudulent activity. So that's why his account was frozen, and it was on a Saturday afternoon, so he couldn't even call the bank to find out what went on. So what do you think is happening to this guy's blood pressure at this point? It's going up. So he goes across the street to the pharmacy and says, listen, I need my high blood pressure medicine refilled. Now, is there a government agency that's connected to Social Security that deals with health care? Uh-huh, Medicare. So if Social Security killed him, guess who else killed him? Medicare did. So the pharmacist looks and says, well, our system says that you're dead. And this Professor Jim says, I'm not dead. You see me right here. And they said, I know, but if the system says that you're dead, to prevent fraud when it comes to medicine and pharmaceuticals, we can't give you this until you get this straightened out. Well, now Jim is so upset he has a stroke and he's incapacitated. He's in the hospital. Now, do your bills go up or down when you're incapacitated in the hospital? They go up. So he and his wife are now seeing the bills go up, 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 and who's not helping pay for the bills anymore? Medicare. And what's happened to their income since they're no longer receiving Jim's check? It's cut in half. So at the very time they need more income, they have less. At the very time they need more help with medical bills, they have less. So his wife calls up the Social Security Department and says, what are you people doing? What are you doing with my husband's Social Security, with my husband's Medicare? Now, have you ever called the cell phone company or the cable company and your name wasn't on the bill? Will they even talk to you? Nope. So guess what Social Security tells Jim's wife? Sorry, we can't talk to you. Now this almost gave her a stroke. But after she hung up, she realized, you know what? We've been good stewards of our money. We've been good stewards of our financial affairs. We went to an attorney last year, and I have a power of attorney. So she goes downstairs, grabs the power of attorney, walks down out to her car, drives to the Social Security offices, plops the power of attorney onto the desk of the Social Security Administration clerk, and says, now talk to me. And the clerk says, honey, I still can't talk to you. And the wife says, why? This is a perfectly good power of attorney. And the Social Security clerk says, well, here's why. And she pulls out a Social Security document, and she turns to page 5 and says, listen, read right here. A family members often use a power of attorney as another way to handle a family member's finances. For our purposes, a power of attorney is not an acceptable way to manage a person's monthly benefits. Now, what kind of a pickle is Jim's wife in now? What's she going to do? Sue the Social Security Administration? How's that going to go? And it ends up all she needed to do was to have a simple free form, cost nothing, a form filled out ahead of time, before, it has to be done before Jim had become incapacitated, but she hadn't done that. See, these are forms you should have filled out long before things happen so that nobody can take care, so somebody can take care of your Medicare and your Social Security needs. And if you're a veteran, your veterans benefits as well. So they did not have this done. So that set them up for all sorts of problems. And here's what happened. Jim found out over the next few weeks that his bank accounts were frozen, that his Medicare and Medicare supplement was canceled, his doctor appointments were canceled, his and the last thing, the crowning blow, was this, because it got worse. His name showed up in the SSDMF. And because Social Security thought he was dead, they put his name in what's called the Social Security Death Master File, the SSDMF. That sounds ominous, doesn't it? Well, on this file, when Social Security thinks you're dead, they're going to put his name, Social Security number, birth date, supposed death date, and the fact is he's still alive, but because they think he's dead, they put on his death date too. This is the kind of things that show up. And then they release that to the public. It says the U.S. Department of Commerce entities and people that the public can now buy that information. And that file, like it says right here, that file includes Social Security number, name, date of birth, date of death. So Jim's alive, but all this information is now floating around out there in the public. And what does that set them up for? You know what it sets them up for: identity theft. Now, they did finally take this stuff and get it taken care of, but it took months to fix his Social Security and Medicare. And he still has to watch for identity theft constantly because that information out there in the SSDMF is still out there. Now, they did finally get this stuff taken care of, but the thing is, we need to get these things done beforehand. So that's just one of the 7 things that we found that weren't being taken care of by people, even smart people, even those who had done good planning otherwise, especially those who are retired. Let me give you that's one thing that can happen out of the 7. Let me just give you another quick example of another thing that we found out. Another one of the 7 things, and that's when people are married, do they get one check or 2 separate checks from Social Security? They get 2 separate checks. Now, if God forbid one passes away and eventually one of our spouses obviously is going to pass away, what happens to their Social Security check? It disappears. So what happens to their income? It's cut in half. So how many people have we found that were applying for the plan that would replace their spouse's Social Security when they died? None of them. Have you done that? Have you applied for the program that will replace your spouse's Social Security check when they die? So the thing is, we have to be thinking about things. And folks, do these things matter? Yes, they do. And are they things you control? Yes, if you do them beforehand. Can't do these things after, it has to be done beforehand. So all we need to do is turn on the news right now, and we're all being bombarded with all sorts of things that matter, but we can only control how many of those things. Not all of them, but some of them we can. If we can control having proper paperwork to make sure we can handle our spouse's Social Security, Medicare, veterans benefits, we can make sure that we've applied for a plan that would replace their income if they die. We can control the things that these 7 documents would do for you. So what should we focus on in these times of trouble? Things that matter, or things that we can control, or the crossover right here, right here. The things that matter and that we can control. And those 7 things are the things that we can control. So as I mentioned earlier, I do work with a limited number of other colleagues across the country, other financial advisors who are qualified and trained to help with these 7 documents. I urge you to contact that advisor that sent you this video, or where you saw this video on their website, or via email or via phone. Contact them. Email them, phone them, so they can assist you with getting these documents done at no cost to you. And you don't have to meet with the advisor even. All these advisors, if you've got this video, if you've seen this video, it's gonna be with an advisor probably from your local area. So these advisors that are in your neighborhood that can actually help you, but you don't have to go meet them in their office. They'll actually be able to help you right online if you choose to do it that way. You can go to their office, meet with them online. They'll give you the documents, help you fill them out, answer any questions you may have, tell you what institution you need to send them to or file them with to make sure you're getting these documents in place to handle these things you need to handle now. You have to do it before, not after. By doing that, it's going to protect your family. It's going to protect your spouse. It's going to protect society because you'll have these things taken care of. You'll be ahead of the game. You'll be proactive instead of reactive. So contact the advisor who's qualified and trained to do this. Whoever sent this video to you, they can help you. Again, in person or online. You can do these things at your leisure, but you have to do them before these things happen to you. And we all know that these things, we never get notified before something terrible happens. So get these things done now, especially since they can be done for free. So please, please, please allow us to help you right now. Call the advisor, email the advisor, get these 7 things done at no cost to benefit you, your family, and spouse. It's essential. Thanks for listening today. Take care and stay safe out there.